my name is Barb Noren, also known as Barb Makes Things. I am here to talk to you about the virtual gallery design, all of the stuff that went into kind of creating this gallery space that you are in right now, or else watching about on YouTube because you're not actually in the gallery space. But here it is. So we decided, several months back that we wanted to do an art show. Amy and I were discussing it, and she was wanting to do something for Fun a Day, and I was wanting to have us do another art show for Crash Space because we are well overdue. We're well overdue. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do something. Let's do something virtual, and let's do something that's going to be really cool. Let's see how much of the actual gallery experience that we can create in a virtual world. So there were a lot of things that went into that. And so we spent a lot of time, especially with the Crash Space folks, kind of going through different platforms, thinking about what we should use for it. There are lots of different options. There's, you can go virtual routes. Like Mozilla Hubs is a really cool thing within a virtual reality setting. The only problem with that is it's fun, and VR is excellent. I've done some things in VR. It's great if you have a VR headset. I don't have a VR headset. A lot of people don't have VR headsets, and unless we've got some really amazing developments happening in the technology, it doesn't seem like it's going to, I would love to be proven wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's going to necessarily be as accessible, at least in the near future. Please, somebody prove me wrong. That would be so cool. But so some of the things that we've thought about is like, okay, we need to have ease of use. It needs to be something that has simple enough controls that, just about anybody can manage it. Nothing real complex. You need to be able to understand where you are, who you're talking to. We wanted to make sure that we could figure out a way to have interaction between the artists before the show started. So we have a Google group that we created to let the artists talk with each other. We started having kind of work circles where people could come and hang out and work on things together, just kind of in the same space. Really great for us all now when we're not necessarily getting to hang out with folks in person. And, we wanted to have easy interaction of not just the artists beforehand, but everybody within this gallery space. So whatever platform we chose would need to be pretty solid in terms of like video chat, especially proximity-based video chat. And we looked at a whole lot of things. Theron actually went to a magic convention within a gather space. This is what if you didn't notice the beginning of the URL there, it says gather.town if you're in the gallery. This is a gather platform, and it has a lot of really interesting features that worked well for this. In addition to that, you can keep on talking to people in video and audio while you're looking at exhibits. And so you can have discussions like that. You can do talks and workshops. You can show audio, video, external websites. And then there's all kinds of other little like fiddly bits that we've been playing with and finding interesting ways of doing things with. So, we wound up going with Gather, and yeah, I've been enjoying it. So, wait, let me find the slides. Yeah. Okay. There is, so this goes a couple of years ago. I finally got to get involved in tabletop role-playing games. This is relevant. Don't worry. So I got to, join a Pathfinder game for a little while, and then eventually started my own D&D game, which we've been playing, almost weekly for 2 years. And I really like it. It's very, very fun. It's a whole lot of world building because we do a homebrew world. And a big part of what I really like to do in that was to make miniatures. So I have all of these 3D printed little monsters and stuff. This is some of them. There are a lot. So yeah, I really got into printing those and modeling them and painting them and all kinds of fun stuff. And then the pandemic happened and we all got locked down and we said, no, we're not going to stop playing. So we switched to Roll20, which is, if you don't know, it's an online, it's a site that really helps people who want to play like role-playing games be able to kind of manage that. And it's designed fairly well for that. So instead of kind of having this creative outlet into making miniatures, it went in a different direction to finding the best kind of background images that I could. So there is a lot of this. There are a whole lot of different images and assets that you can use, that you can find all over the internet. One that this one designer of these that I really like is called 2 Minute Tabletop. And it's this kind of aesthetic, this kind of like slightly cartoony, hand-drawn-ish. Like, I like it. It's fun. And there's like a wide variety of things, including, you know, a skyship, because, you know, why not? And so like, this is fun because you can, you know, move your characters around and then you can get like real crazy, which my party does. My group gets a little bit weird. So this was not actually, the battle wasn't quite this chaotic, but yeah, we kind of went there. So like at some point though, I'm like, okay, we need to, that's not what I wanted. At some point it's like, okay, we've kind of hit our boundary on what we can do with the things that we've already, that we've found. And I started having to design a little bit of my own, but I was spending a lot of time in this mindset of figuring out like what's going to work well and aligning things and all of that. So I did start drawing a little bit of my own, some of my own maps for our battles and such. So that's kind of like where I was when we started getting into this idea. I've been sketching and doodling for as long as I remember. Most recently with like dot notebooks. Oh my gosh, Rhodia. Yes. It's got all the dots. It's lovely. So it's like, they really encourage geometric doodling. You can be precise in the nonsense you're trying to make. It's pretty great. So we've got like this, you know, this grid-based tabletop role-playing game. We've got this grid game-like platform in Gather, and I have grid paper. Boom. That's where we come from. So there are lots of tutorials about how to draw different kinds of things, obviously. But there are a number of tutorials on how to draw kind of video game type things, especially the perspective that you need, because like that is a fascinating road to go down, learning and just getting into the details of all the different kinds of perspectives that different games use. I like 3/4 and isometric, and just like, we were kind of locked in with this because of the avatars. So the initial kind of designs that are built into Gather are a little bit more video gamey than we wanted, at least that I wanted. I wanted it to be a little bit more organic, a little bit more hand-drawn looking. So I said, okay, well, we can draw those. I've been looking at the, you know, at these drawings, and at first I was thinking, okay, well, let's just use some of these assets from the D&D games that I like so much. And there's like, no, screw that. I'll just make new ones. So pretty much all of these elements that are in this gallery that you are either in or are unfortunately not in, because it's really fun. You should be in there. Yeah, they're all drawn by hand in pencil, and then I ink them, and then I scan them, and then color them in Photoshop. And like, I have so many pages of all of this stuff, and like, yeah, it's kind of fun and like, and relaxing and chill just to like draw tiny little chairs and tables. It's enjoyable. And tiny robots. I mean, come on. Wait, yes, all the little robots. So, you know, we started out with like the background elements because, you know, you got to build somewhere. And then the fun thing with this was kind of learning how to do tileable backgrounds, which means that when you line up, like you just make a, you know, a rectangle of a certain image. And then when you tile it, it doesn't look like there's a line there, that they they look like, it looks like a smooth transition. It doesn't look like it's repeating again and again and again. So that took some learning how to do. I got to learn a lot of stuff in making this. That was cool. But yeah, so I made these backgrounds, these tileable backgrounds, which are now in my tool set. So for the outside and in the wood tiling for the floor inside. And then from there, then you start getting into building elements. You get into stairs, which I went through so many versions of stairs. Oh my gosh, figuring out like that perspective shift for it was crazy. But then you can get into really interesting things with like doing wood grains on doors, and then figuring out the perspectives on walls and how that should go. So, and then, you know, so once we've got like the building kind of set in place, then you start to get to add some of the more structural, the details of what's going to be in the space. Because during this whole process, I'm also talking with people and being like, hey, so here's what it's going to look like. I can try to explain it to you. You're going to understand it better when I can actually have it here in front of you. So I'm like, okay, get this as fast as I can so that the artists can really get what I'm talking about, and they'll know exactly how to lay things out if they want to do their own rooms, which I hope you've seen the rooms that like Jay and Rachel and Muriel have done. Cool. I love that we've got people who've made rooms. But so we've got stuff like, here, I'm going to switch this. The stage, which you may be sitting in front of right now. This is the second version of the stage. The first one did not work well. So that was all, you know, done by hand. I also got to play with like a lot of different Photoshop brushes, which was also endlessly interesting. We've got the bar that has a robot behind who can teach you menu items, can teach you recipes. And then we have our DJ booth, the speakers upstairs, and the dance floor. The fun thing about the dance floor, I hope you've been up and seen the dance floor and run around on it. There are objects within, so the way that it works in Gather, there's like the background, and then there are objects that exist on there. There are objects that are not interactable, and then there are objects that are. In this particular case, the stage is not interactable. Is that a word? I don't know. The screen is. The screen, you select that and it pulls up a video for you. The bar is not interactable. The robot behind the bar is. The DJ booth, not interactable. The DJ behind there is actually a virtual machine made by Brett, who you should talk to about it because it's really interesting. But then the dance floor is, in order to make these things change, they are actually text objects. So they are interactable objects. So if you walked on it and you hit X, it would pull up a little text thing. Then you can close it. But the thing that it does is that when it's selected, when you walk over it, it pulls up. You have an option to pull up a, when you're creating this, you have an option to put in an activation image. So the activation image on all of those little sets of 9 tile thingy jiggers is one that's more glowy. So that's how that particular thing works. Yeah, it was fun to figure that out, and it's really fun to run around on that floor. And then plants. Honestly, plants were one of the first things I actually started drawing, and then I wound up redoing them, like most of them entirely, because I didn't have the perspective quite right. They're a little bit. I enjoy them. So the plants are kind of like sprinkled all throughout. because plants are fun, you know? Then so another thing in this gallery space is there is the potential for private spaces. If you haven't noticed this, like if you walk into a space and everything else around the area that you're in dims, that means you're in a private space and you can only hear and only be heard by people who are also in that space. So that's a really good spot for if you are trying, like if there's too much going on around you, if you want to make sure that you can definitely hear people, you could go into one of these social spaces, which in this case, they're carpets and they're like seats next to tables. So if you sit at a table across from somebody, you will only hear each other, nobody else. So that's kind of cool. But then, yeah, I got to draw more little tiny furniture and a tiny little fire pit. And there's like little itty bitty beanbag chairs. Those are fun. And then, of course, information. We got to have all of that. We got to have lots of information because you enter a new space. You have users enter a new space. And it's like, I don't know how this thing works. I'm just going to wander around and figure it out. But we're like, hey, wait, let's put a little README thing there at the beginning so that you can find out. So we actually, I drew little, just because very, very basic things. Let's get the most important commands on the ground in front of you so you cannot miss them. So we've got the arrow keys. We've got X for exploring things. We've got G for ghosting. Those are like really the critical things that you need to know. So it's like user interface, put this right where nobody can miss it. And then, you know, draw little books. That's a guest book, by the way. If you haven't seen the guest book, go sign the guest book. I mean, after the talk, not right now. Yeah, so we've got signs everywhere, and I made a bunch of blank signs so we can just kind of pull up new ones on the fly. And then there are a bunch of standalone objects that are around the space, and these were just kind of fun little extra doohickeys to draw, like Brett's virtual photo booth. Got to like, you know, do a little bit of research and be like, okay, what should this thing look like? Should we do? Let's do a checkerboard floor. Why not? And then draw the little printer machine off to the side. If you've not seen this, go do that too. After you sign the guest book, or if there's a line around the guest book, go do photos, and then go sign the, yeah. And then, like, you know, I put my little bonsai on a pedestal, and we have the infinity mirror that was a group project for Justin Corwin, and that's another standalone. There are a couple other things that are around the space. There's the geodesic dome that's upstairs. That was a fun one that I still have to stick on the slide. I'll put it there. Yeah, all these little fun things that you get to draw also. And then last, no, almost last. No, come back. No, that is last. Last but not least are the robots. Because, you know, you got to have somebody to welcome you. So we have Henry. He's Henry because he's got an inductor on his head. Then we have the French robot. Her name is Tess Lacour. And then Corky the bot tender, who has like a corkscrew shoulders. I don't know if you noticed that. He's got corkscrew shoulders. And if you walk up to Corky and hit X, you can read some interesting drink recipes and food recipe, currently just one, that were gathered by, I think, mostly Crashers. It's entertaining. We're just like, yeah, let's have fun with it. So I was thinking I might, because I got a few minutes here. I was thinking I might show you. Just kind of wander around the space a little bit here and show you just in case. So here's Henry. I'm gonna pull this up. Hello, everybody. The grapes mean it's thinking. So we have our nice hi welcome README document. which, you know, hopefully some folks read. But it's got a lot of this information on, like, you know, how to do things. And troubleshooting, and you can also pop it out to another window. And these are our little private spaces, like I mentioned. You can go and sit on the chairs. I love that. I love that you can sit on the chairs. I also, initially, I had it so that you can walk on the fire pit, and then it's just like, what fun is that? Yeah, walk on the fire pit. And then, so this initially started out as just this one big room and the courtyard. And I had a vague idea that I wanted a dark room, but I didn't know what else there would be. And it kind of just like expanded on since we, you know, have, what's happening? Oh, I see. It expanded since we kept getting more and more people. So I knew it could be kind of modular. So we have a west wing and our east wing, which have lovely artworks on all of the walls. Without the artworks on the walls, this thing would just be blank walls. So they're so cool. We have a map here. We've got a lot of these cool other things going and some artwork on the ground. The other side is pretty much the same. We have snacks. Feel free to look at the snacks. You can't actually eat them. I mean, you know, you could try, but you probably want your devices rather than eating them. So initially when I did this, I did make blocks so that you couldn't walk through the walls. Rachel, who designed this side room over here, which I will not show you because it is zero of my design, but it is cool and you should go see it. She pointed out, because she had been in a Gather event before as well, and she'd noted how difficult it can get if things get crowded and there's like a lot of things blocking your way. And ultimately, like, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of most of those. So there are very few things that actually won't let you walk through them. You might notice, or you might not have noticed. But yeah, you can walk through the walls. And there's all of you. Hi, everybody. Hello. I wasn't, and now it's going really slow because I'm trying to run through here. And then you can also like put pictures on the ground, which is kind of fun. I will also, so we have then also, we have a website that has all of the information and all of the exhibits in place so that you can see what's going on. And then there's a schedule here that you can pull up so you can actually see what's happening, what's coming, if it loads. Oh, there we go. Hey, that's me. And then we can go upstairs. And then so part of the way that this works is there are portal tiles, so it can send you kind of wherever you want it to go. So for right now, I'm gonna head upstairs. We have all of our lovely things. Oh, this is that geodesic dome I was talking about. And then we have our dance floor. I will not run on just for fear of the music potentially going through and getting me kicked off of the YouTubes. Oh. But yeah, so this is most of the space. Like I said, there were other rooms, and this is one of the other beautiful things that I liked about this platform, is that we could, you know, easily have other rooms going off the side if other people wanted to design their own rooms and kind of add their own touch to it, which they did, which is very exciting. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I could come up here and ask for questions. It's just fun to run around in here, you know? I think it's fun. I'm not going to make you ask questions. Okay. It's also tricky to actually get them if you can't send it to that, but yeah. Anyway, so that is my talk. I'm going to go back to the beginning here. So yes, I am Barb. You can find me in all of the places. I'm pretty much Barb Makes Things everywhere. So I got barbmakesthings.com. Thanks to Theron. I'm Barb Makes Things on the Twitters and the Instagrams, and I have my YouTube channel, which is called, surprisingly, Barb Makes Things. Yeah. If you think I might be there, try Barb Makes Things. If you can't find it, I'm not there. Branding. Yeah. So that is my talk. Our next talk coming up, I should have looked at it because I was just right there. Our next talk is, I believe, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah Sallard, illustrations of the Rhinoceros Sutra at 5:30. So in about a half an hour here. And that will be really cool. So yeah, enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching.